I got, I got, I got, I got, I got money, 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 money on my bees, cause I'm getting all these honeys. I got money, 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 money. Money is the virus, cause these niggas acting buggy. I got money, money.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Genuine Content Podcast with your hosts Jay and Josh. Jay, we're back for another episode. Lots going on, man. Talk to us. How you been?
Man, everything's good, man. I'm running on E right now, man. I've been running on E for the past 3 weeks, man. But everything's good, man. I feel it's even though I'm running on E, I'm a little refreshed because I'm not really working. So that's always a good thing for everyone who don't know. I just had a daughter, so I've been on paternity leave for 3 weeks already. So it feels good not to work, but I'm always working with the podcast, so I'm still doing stuff here and there. But you know what, man? Every day's been a blessing. Can't complain with life, with work, with the podcast and the support everyone's given us. So I'm good, man. What about you?
Man, it's funny because I was just about to say the same thing. I'm running on fumes myself, man. This last couple of weeks, just work wise, has just been absolutely bonkers. Like deadlines, reports, travel. Like I just came back from DC, and there was no vacation about it. It was all grind mode. But learned a lot. Got to talk to some very awesome health professionals and get a little bit on their expertise and get to know them a little bit. But Jay, obviously, man, you're the head honcho right now, man. What's the most fascinating thing you've learned since being father? What's the biggest takeaway so far in this short amount of time?
It's crazy. For me, I've been really about me and my wife, right? It's just always been about us. And I guess lately, before the kid was born, I've been doing well at work, and then I really had time to be selfish. I had time to. If anyone ever watched Parks and Recreation, there's this scene called the treat yourself scene. So I've been treating myself some stuff. I had time to finally be selfish, right? Buying stuff with no remorse, right? I was just if I want something, I can get it. And since the baby's born, everything just changed. I've never in an instant just dropped everything for her. It's everything just solely been about her. It's no, everything's gonna be for her. She's my legacy from here on out. Whatever I do will be for her. So I went from being low key a selfish person for a few months, so now it's everything's always gonna be about her. If I'm gonna do something, I got to make sure she's okay first. But then with the recording, right? I got to make sure, can my wife watch her? Do you need some help? I can have my family come, or maybe her family come. But it doesn't matter how tired I am. I just look at her and I'm like, man, it's all worth it. She could be screaming her head off, and she does that all the time. And then when she's sleeping and I look at her, I'm like, man, that's she's my world, right? I'm going to do whatever I can for her. So I to love someone that unconditionally, just from the day she's born, that you will only know that once you're a father, because it's crazy. You wouldn't think that until I saw her when the doctor gave it to me. I was and immediately she's my world, and no one could take that away from me.
That's real,
it's huge, man.
Yeah, that's blessings time and time again, man. And once again, congratulations to you, man. And best wishes to you and the missus as you go through this journey, man. Girl Dad is the new title for Jay, man. And speaking of Girl Dad, we have another guest on the show that is a two-time All-American Girl Dad, and we'll give him the chance to introduce himself as well. But first of all, we want to thank everybody for joining, everybody for listening to the podcast so far. This is episode 6. And we've been extremely humbled about all of this, our journey so far. Please, if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram at genuine_content spelled with a K. You can listen to all of our podcasts on wherever you get your major platforms and podcasts, so whether it's Apple, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube as well. We're on that. Like, subscribe, leave a review. Without further ado, let's introduce our guest. We have a jam-packed episode. We're taking a little bit lighter approach. We're going the sports route, but
actually a little different approach too.
Comes up. Oh yeah. A little different spin on how we usually do things, but we've got a sports focused podcast for you all with the NFL draft coming in a few days. Derriante, take the reins, introduce yourself, what you got going on, and we mentioned girl, dad, family life. So talk to us about that since you're kind of trailblazing when it comes to the
Yeah.
both of us.
Definitely, man. It's me and the wife. We have two girls, so I know where Jay's coming from with when you get that first one. Definitely, man. This my girls are 8 and 1. So and their names are Brooklyn and London. I love them very, very, very dearly. And it's like when you do see them and the work you put in, and like Jay said, you on E every day. So it doesn't stop. It doesn't it doesn't stop, especially
Never,
when you got
man.
two.
But
It doesn't
life.
stop, but it's all worth it, man. And your kids are your legacy. But so me, a little bit about me. I'm born and raised in Gainesville. I played sports, grew up playing sports, basketball and football. The older I got, I wish I played baseball, but that's another story for another day. Um, so I played quarterback my whole entire life, so of course I have a different perspective about how the game's played um, and a different view on everything, and I see things a little bit different. Right now, I'm an insurance broker with Florida Blue, and of course, I enjoy my career. Very, very fun. Been married. Married coming. It'll be 3 years. July 17th. I've been married with the wife. So life is going pretty well right now. I can't complain. I'm just honored and humbled to be invited to the podcast and give my perspective on things. So I'm just excited to be here.
Man, I'm inspired. I'm inspired by all this greatness. We might call this episode Three Kings. What y'all think?
Hey,
So,
I
I mean,
agree.
hey, sounds good.
Hey, but Derriante, man, we appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit about your origins, especially when it comes to sports, but definitely life as well. No, it's funny because when you're at the barbershop and funny story, we actually have the same barber. You actually connected me with yours, and he's family to you, and usually most people talk about their glory days and they always hype themselves up like, I was doing X, Y, and Z. You know the deal. Like everybody gasses
Right.
themselves up. But it's actually the
Right.
people around you who are always talking about how you were that dude,
Right.
man. So hey, this is your chance to flex, man. Like what was the stat sheet looking like, man? Like what were the vibes like? Let's
Well,
do it.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I try not to hype myself up too much, man. I know.
Back on that.
I mean, obviously, I look at half the quarterbacks in the NFL right now, like, and I'm looking like, okay, I know I was better than him. Like, there's no, it's just not a, that's not a question. But my experience, in high school, I dealt with a lot of prejudice. Well, I said, I dealt with a lot of prejudice situations when I was in high school that caused my high school career to not be what it could have been. Everybody else knew, fans, parents, players, everybody knew who was the man. But it happened how it happened. I still ended up having about 22 scholarship full rides to go play ball. It was Division two and NAIA schools that recruited me. I ended up going to not going. I actually I ended up not going, but I committed to Iowa Westland. It's an NAIA school in Iowa, obviously. And the reason I went there is because they said all the quarterbacks, either graduated or left. So I seen an opportunity for me to just go in and play from the jump. But then things happened, and around that time, that was 2012 when I graduated high school. Around that time, it was around then when that concussion stuff started to come out about what it was doing to the body and how it affects you later on
Oh
in life.
yeah.
That's when all of that stuff hit. So, because in high school, I had 3 concussions in high school. I had 3 already, and then
Eesh.
before then, when I was coming up at age 7 in the early 2000s, there's no telling how many concussions I had all the way up to then. Because back when we first started playing, they just said, "Oh, you got your bell wrong. You'll be okay. You got a headache at 8 years old," and you just like, okay, well, I just got. But no, I had a concussion, but it wasn't a thing then until the past about 10, 12 years. Now it's a big deal. So I decided not to play ball anymore, and I decided to go in. And I went to college, and then the intention was going to college was to become a business owner. And then when I was like, I think I can be a business owner without going to college, so I dropped out of college with a 4.0 GPA. And I've been in business ever since for myself. Of course, I worked some jobs, but I'm an entrepreneur now, and I'm striving every day to be better. Got my hands in a little bit of in a few things, and hopefully, I keep getting well. I will keep getting better and providing for the family and doing what I got to do. So that's where I am now, and I got 2 girls, like I said earlier, and married. Life is good, and I have no regrets about not playing either. So you know, but
Hey,
that's kind of what I
man.
went through. Yeah, man. I tore my labrum my senior year in my left shoulder. Yeah, it was. I was like, nah, I don't need to keep doing this. But no,
I mean, that's like
that's
one of
my
the
story.
untold stories in sports and athletics, man. Like that risk reward when it comes to that balance of like past injuries versus future risk, and it seems like you made
Exactly.
the very much made the educated, correct decision, man. Especially with all the information that's come out around concussions,
Yeah.
CTE, mental health, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
I wanted to
I mean,
actually
come
kind of
on,
go back
Josh.
on that. What's
I mean,
up?
Josh, when you think about it, like you think about NFL players in regards to this, like Andrew Luck, right? Remember, he only played like what was it, 6, 7
He
seasons,
was
and he just like
20. He was 28.
yeah, man,
Hmm.
he had a Hall of Fame career already. Like you knew he was gonna be a Hall of
Yep.
Famer. This man, and what happened? He can't do it every day. Just like Luke Kuechly from the Panthers
Yep.
couldn't do it
He's
anymore.
still a first ballot Hall of Famer.
And then there's this one
Yeah.
guy. This happened recently. I think I sent Josh this article. Was it a guy from the Raiders or was it a guy from the 49ers? I mean, I think he's probably a second or third string, but he found his old Pokemon cards. And he realized, man, I can just start selling this and do this instead of NFL because you know what? Like I can live longer. I can preserve my health even more just doing something else besides the NFL. Like he probably made some money in NFL. And he's like, you know what? I can make money doing something else. So it's crazy, and man,
Yeah.
there's people now that like, what you like? Was it? I know Shannon Sharp said it. Like people ask him, he's like, yeah, you know what? After all the injuries I have and I'm messed up, whatever, I'll do it again. But some people that he talked to was like, yeah, I wouldn't do it again. Or if I have a son, I wouldn't let him play football. Like that's the thing right now, and it's crazy.
Yeah. And I recently came across I think it's like the Derek Wolf story. It was like a defensive end for the Broncos, and he was talking about how
Broncos and Ravens, yeah.
yeah, and he was talking so much about how he was legitimately injured, and us athletes we know the difference between hurt and injured, and he was talking about
Yes.
how the doctors were clearing his injuries within a week's time, and there was no way in hell he should have been playing. And he came to the conclusion that the league and this game called athletics, they don't care about you one bit. You will
It's a
sacrifice it
business,
all
man.
if you do it. If you really just go out there and just go reckless abandon, not care about yourself, not advocate for yourself, you will risk it all. And so you made the
Hmm.
decision quick and early on, man. Sometimes it's just not worth it. But
No, because
Derriante,
you got to think. My thing is, I just want to elaborate what you guys are saying because you got to think. Even if I would have made it to the NFL and say I got a $100 million contract, or even if I just got a Jalen Hurts contract, it's still how you still can't put a price on your health at the end of the day because you still got kids, you want a wife. That's the most important thing in life, to me
most
at
definitely.
least. That's the most important thing in life, and I've successfully found my wife, and I have 2 kids, and that's still the most important thing to me. So that's that. Man, this football is rough, man, and the guys that make it that far are blessed, man. They are blessed because to not. I'm not saying they weren't injured before, but to not have any major injuries and make you stop playing or any career-ending injuries or haven't had a lot of concussions and things of that nature. They're blessed, man. Like Tom Brady really played 23 years. Man, he's been playing football since he was like 8.
And he only had
It's
one
like
major injury.
Yeah,
one,
that
and
we
that was in
know.
2011. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when he tore his ACL that first. Bernard Pollard when he hit him. So
Yep.
it's got to be blessed, man. That sport's rough, and plus I blame myself a little bit because of how I played. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't all bad luck because you telling the kid that 6'1", 230. I did leg day with the linemen. I was squatting 650 at 17 years old. I was a big strong kid. And I try to use it to my advantage sometimes instead of running out of bounds or sliding or ducking the hits. So I'm taking the hits on, and that didn't help. So
Actually, shoot, Derriante, you just kind of segued into my very first question. Like, growing up in Gainesville, man, especially with University of Florida so close, like, what was football culture like for you growing up?
well, it was everything. My dad was a monster. Man. My dad was one of the best running backs in the area when he was coming out in the '90s. Um, he he still has his boxes of all his letters from colleges. Like the boxes, it's a huge box full of letters from USC, Florida, Miami, Florida State, all the big schools you could think of. So me being his firstborn, it just was in my nature to play ball. And my dad ended up actually going to Valdosta State, which is a division, FCS school. What they call it now is FCS. And they won like 2 national championships when he was there. They were awesome. I remember going up there as a kid and watching them play. Man, they were legit. They were really good. My dad actually ended up going to the NFL. He made the team, and then he tore his knee up, and he
Oh,
ended up
man.
getting cut. So yeah, so that was the end of that story. So like, football is really really big in my family. My grandfather, even my grandma, my mom, they all are huge Gator fans. They watch the games every Saturday. They go hard. Like it's football is a big thing. And even when I was coming up playing, I started playing football at 7. I didn't play quarterback my first year. I played tight end, played D end, D tackle, outside linebacker, and I was pretty good. But then my second year, I started playing quarterback, and then I played quarterback ever since. And they were at every game, supported me at every game, from little league through high school. They were there. So football, the culture here in Gainesville is crazy. It's football. Well, at least I can say for my family, football is a big thing on both sides.
That's what's up, man. And obviously, at a certain point in time, like you started hitting it, you found a good level of success. School started, talking to you a little bit. Like, talk us a little bit through that process, kind of leading up to that first offer. Like, what did it feel like to like know that? All right, this
Well,
people are looking at me. Like, what's good?
well, I can tell you this. Now, this is my recruiting experience. Not saying this is for not saying this is what everybody goes through, but this is just me. Like I said, I went to Beholds High School, and it was a lot of situations that happened, and deal with some prejudice situations with the coaches and everything. I dealt with that my entire high school career. So they at Buholtz, they hold letters for, but they held. I don't know about. Well, I'm pretty sure they still do the same thing now because the same people are still there. But they held letters from us. So we didn't even know about if you got a letter from Florida. I didn't even know until maybe the next year, and they're like, "Oh, hold on, you got this letter from the University of Florida," and I'm like, "Okay, this says last year," and then by that time, coaches lose interest because they just thought you didn't reply to the letter or you didn't show interest because of. So that was my experience. So I actually did my own recruiting. My coaches didn't help me at all. Now, granted, I still got invited to the UF camp. I got invited to the Miami camp, which I did go to those. I got invited to FSU camp, but I had a Florida. I'm not in Florida. I'm sorry. I had a family event that weekend, so I didn't go to the FSU one, but I did go to the UF and the Miami camp. And when you go to the camps, the experience you get is really really good. In a sense of people think they make it seem like it's unreal. Well, at least the school I went to, they made it seem like it was unfathomable for you to go D1. It's not that hard if you got some sort of level of talent. It's really not that hard. Because when I went to the camps, I went to UF camp. I flew right next to Luke Del Rio. who started for the University of Florida.
Yeah.
My arm was 1,000
That's
times better
perspective.
than his.
Oh, that's perspective for the Gator fans
1,000
out
times
here.
better. Like behind me, that's when Muschamp and Charlie Weiss was the offensive coordinator. They were standing right behind me because how it works at the camps, how the quarterbacks kind of compete against each other. They throw together. It's two at one time. They throw together. So you got two receiver and DB lines, one on this side and one on the other for each quarterback. And I'm killing. I'm putting velocity. I had a strong, very, very strong arm. Very, very, very strong arm. And I put it on display, and they were like, "Who's this kid from Buchholz?" And they're oh wow, good ball. That's a great ball. And Luke Del Rio's over there with his Elite 11 shirt on. I'm like, I didn't care about that. I wanted to play against the best. I actually stepped up because I knew who he was. I knew his dad was Jack Del Rio, number one, who was the coach for the Raiders at the time. I think it was the Raiders or the Jags he was the coach for at the time.
I want to say the Jags. At
Yeah, I
the
want to
time.
say it was the Jags at the
He
time.
was definitely there for a good clip.
Yeah, so yeah, he was there for a minute. So I was like, I want you. I want to see what you got. A Elite 11 shirt on. Everybody knows what Elite 11 is, especially if you play quarterback. We know what that means. So I was like, I want to go against you. You committed to Florida. Let's see what you got. Destroyed him, and that let me know. Then I was like, actually, I'm pretty good. I think I'm solid. Then I went to Miami. It was the same thing. You go to the camp the first part of the morning. They're just trying to figure out who's who or whatever. Everybody well, it's to position. You go, that whole position group is together. Then the second half of the camp, they split it up to who they think is the best. So it was three groups. It was an A, B, and a C. Of course, I made the A group, and the A group is the people who get to go to the facilities after the camp, which the facilities in Miami at the time were amazing. So I made that group. So in my mind, I was like, I'm way better than what I gave myself credit for, man. But it was just like I said, it was just a school. And then I ended up, but my junior year, I didn't tell you guys this. My junior year, I actually broke my foot. I missed my whole entire junior season, whole season gone. I played the first two games, and I broke my a bone in my foot that took 6 months to heal. So it took my entire junior season, and then I missed over half the season my senior year with my torn labrum. So it was, yeah. I had some injuries, but that let me know. But I still ended up scrapping, helping myself get recruited, and sending my stuff out, and I ended up getting some scholarships. Like I said, I had about 22, and but I let myself know that I can go anywhere, because in the sport of football, if you're good, they're gonna find you. So no matter what school I went to, if you're good, they're gonna find you. So now, like I said, I just needed to go somewhere where I know I can play immediately and put my talent on display. And but like I said, I ended up, my story, I ended up not going because of the injuries. But man, it's to me, maybe because I just felt like I was good. It's not hard to go D1, man. You just, like, if you have kids, make sure they go to a school that's going to promote them and actually play the best player, and not because dad is a lawyer here and we got relationships here and things of that nature. So that was my experience. That was my experience. I actually had a Florida recruiter see me play in 9th grade, and he approached me after the game, and he says, "Son, what grade are you in?" I'm in 9th grade, because it was a JV game, and he was like, "Keep playing. You got something." And but it didn't pan out the way I wanted it to, but I still did what I had to do. I still would have made it if I would have went and played. At least I feel like I would have made it if I would have played. But that was my experience in it. Like I said, I can't speak for everybody. The recruiting experience is fun, though. You get visits from the coaches. You get to go tour the campuses and all that good stuff. So it is fun. It is fun, I would say.
Hey man, I appreciate that peel behind the onion, like first person perspective, because we were talking about this like in the off air. Like Jay and I, we have like officially nerded out when it comes to
We're nerds now.
Sports rankings, like football recruiting sites, and like trying to get all the latest scoop on all this. And like what you kind of showed us and told us is that it's very illuminating as far as how some of these rankings might take place, and it's really like exposure / politics and all that, and that's wild, man.
Can I add another piece? I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you an example of politics. Okay, so I remember we were on the way to play Treasure Coast in Port St. Lucie. It was our first game, right?
Oh, that's my
So we
wife's
had
school. You better talk
we
nice.
had
Nah,
we had a
check in.
yeah, I
Be
know. It's
careful.
funny. It's funny because me and Maisha are good friends. So it's funny that we played them. But that was my junior year. This was my junior year. So we had a magazine. You know how ESPN have the recruiting magazines, all that stuff. So at the time, Jeff Driscoll was the #1 overall recruit.
Yep.
And so me as a competitor, I'm like, oh, he's the #1 overall recruit quarterback. Let me see. He's my class. Let me see what he's about. Open the magazine, look up his season stats. I will never forget. And I will never forget what I seen in this magazine. It said 11 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I said, wait, is that for 2 games? Was it 2 games or is it for one? Was that the whole season? And you're the #1 overall recruit? So because when you go to the camps, like you go to the Under Armour camp and get exposure, that's something I didn't know when I was through my time. Because if I would have did that, then I'm pretty sure I would have definitely been up there. But then when you go to the camps and you just show a strong arm and all, and then plus when you go to camps, you're throwing to the best of the best receivers and all that stuff. So they're like, oh, this guy's blah blah blah. He's 6'4", 6'5", 230, can run, strong arm. But when you actually turn the film on, you're like, I don't think he's that good. And when he got to Florida, what did he look like?
Yeah, that was
So
a little shaky at best.
Exactly. It's a lot of politics that goes on in this recruiting stuff. A lot of people aren't that great. Like they try to claim to be. You can make a phone like Deion Sanders said at one time. I can make a phone call and make a kid a 5-star recruit. So it's a lot that goes and it's a lot that goes into it. Now that you do have some dogs out there. Now, don't get me wrong. It's some dogs out there that are 5-star recruits. But if you look at the NFL, there are more FCS. If I'm not mistaken, the last time I checked, there's more FCS players in the NFL than in our D1.
That's a crazy stat. Like if
everybody
to look into.
Everybody's situation is different. So it just is what it is. Football, because you can't hide when you put the pads on.
Ain't no joke.
Yeah, you're right. The tape don't lie.
Ain't no cap.
The tape don't lie. The tape doesn't lie.
Jay, you remember how hyped we were about Jeff Driscoll when he was like showing up on campus, man? We were like, oh, it's a wrap. Like we've been to clean
up. I think, I was super hyped. And then we had that one good year, right? That one really good year. And now in hindsight, it's like, you know what? We were good because the defense was elite, not because of him.
Exactly. We had John Bostic and Jelani Jenkins, and we were running the football. It was Mike Gillislee.
Oh, Gillislee, man.
That
Absolutely.
It was Matt Elam on the back end. It was who else was it?
I remember I had class with Gillislee. He cool. He was real cool.
Yeah.
I let him cheat a couple times. I didn't care.
And he was like the second half hero, man. Like all of a sudden, like it'd be like 7-3 or something, and then all of a sudden he's taking off. Like as soon as halftime is wrapped up, he's getting the ball, he's taking off, man. Like they were cleaning out in the second half, just running out the clock, just manhandling people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what football is up front, man.
Yeah, trench game was strong back then, man. Trench game was definitely strong.
You had Dominic Easley, Sharif Floyd. Man, they were some rock stars, man. They were monsters up front.
Hey, well, hopefully we'll get back to those glory days of Gator Nation, man, with the legitimate 5 stars, legit dogs. Oh yeah. We just had this spring game, man. I was there in person. I saw the light show, if that's what you want to call it. The lights came out. The power was out quick, bro.
Hey, this season's a wash. I'll tell you that much. I didn't even watch it, but I just saw the message boards, and I saw little clips here and there, and man, I'm probably just ready. I'm ready for 2024 at this point, man. That season.
I think everybody is.
DJ Lagway.
Because at least we get DJ.
Yeah.
If it's you gotta keep him. Gotta keep.
No. We keeping him. Chill.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
You just don't.
He's not going anywhere.
I agree. I mean, I think what Nape has got, man, is a very solid recruiting foundation. But it's gonna take time, man. He's a structural, organizational systems guy, and he's just gonna build the pieces around it to make it work. But do you have some thoughts on it? What on the regime? What's going on?
Well, I like Coach Nate, because I like where he's building the team. Because this is what I take from it. Remember when Nick Saban first got to Alabama? He built
Oh
the
yeah.
team around He built the team around the line of scrimmage and running game, and that got them to an elite level pretty fast. They didn't have the best quarterback, but they had a great defense and offensive line in a running game, which vaulted them to Alabama. They just got Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts, and Mac Jones years later. Remember, it was Greg McElroy, John Parker Wilson, or whatever his name was.
Yep.
It was Blake Sims. It wasn't.
Randos,
They didn't
who's
have.
playing?
They
We
won a
could
national championship with the.
we could have played
What was his
QB, man.
name?
You talking about AJ
Yeah,
McCarron?
but him too. But who was when they beat Clemson? When I forgot who the what was his name? But whatever. But anyway, the fact that I don't remember his name is making my point.
Exactly.
That's how he built it. So fast forward to Nate. Nate understands that number one, which we didn't have on the Mullen, we didn't have this recruiting army that we weren't spending as much money on recruiting as we are now. Because that's the lifeblood of college football, man. You got to spend money in recruiting, because if you don't, you're not going to get the guys that you need to bring your program forward. So that's number one. Number two,
Facts.
Nate understands. Look at a lot of recruits we've been getting who have been offense and defensive line. That's where football is won. I don't care if you have Tyreek Hill, a prime Randy Moss, a prime Jerry Rice. You got Tom Brady in his prime quarterback, and you have Emmitt Smith at running back. But if you don't have an offensive line, it's not going to go as well as you think it could go. You have to have an offensive line, and you have to have some sort of a running game. Now this year, I know we're going to be able to run the ball. That's not. We have a great offense. We have a great offensive line. We're going to be pretty good on defense, I think. But the question is, man, in today's age now, like I was just saying about Nick Saban was able to get away with that 15 years ago, but today, because of the passing game and all that stuff, you need a quarterback, man. And Graham Mertz is not it. We have some good guys, Aiden Mizell, and the young guys that have came in. Because last year we didn't have anybody that scared you to take the top off of a defense, which opens up the defense. We didn't have it. Everybody was slow as dirt.
Yeah,
Everybody.
no speed, no separation.
No speed.
At all.
It was no speed at all on offense. And when have you ever seen that from a Florida offense? We had no speed. So you would nobody scared you. I mean, Hendo always looking like he has bricks in his shoes when he runs. We're not nobody scared anybody. So we have some young guys that's coming in that's gonna be really good, but it's all about the man that's pulling the trigger, because he's gonna have to make plays. You want to win big, he's gonna have to make plays. And I really hope he proves me wrong. Don't get me wrong now, but I don't believe he's not that guy. He wasn't that guy at Wisconsin. And you come into the SEC, oh no, this is not gonna be good.
But as Florida fans, man, we just hopeful. We just hopeful for some good things, man.
I'm hopeful.
Hoping.
I'm hoping. Yes, I am. But I just got to go by what I see, man. And it's not looking good.
I know. I knew he was bad, but like you got Josh out for 3 months. I'm like, he may be the guy. He just new scenery.
We started telling lies, man. We were telling lies. I keep my mouth shut now.
The reporters, they get a glimpse of like 10 minutes of practice. Like, oh, there's some zip to that ball. There's some, there's some cut. And I was like, oh man, he might be it. And then I was, I think I was watching a movie when Josh was like, yo, the Orange and Blue game's on. And I was like, oh, it is? I ain't trying to watch it.
Yeah.
Like I already knew.
Man,
my heart broken.
I didn't watch any of the spring game. I already knew what it was going to be. I already knew nothing surprised me. Everyone's like, oh, we're terrible at quarterback. This is a surprise to you? Wasn't a surprise to me. I already knew. But everybody was on AR last year. Everybody was on AR last year. I know we're gonna get into that at a little later, but I'll save that. I'll stop. Go ahead.
Oh no,
I'll
because
save that.
we about to get into it right now. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
It's transition
Okay.
time, so I guess
Yeah.
we transition to AR
We
now.
segue in these podcasts, man. We keep it professional.
Now I got so and what you want? Which part you want me to start at with this situation?
Hey, I mean, we already know that AR was a very integral part of the team, not just last year, but the year before. He was a big play waiting to happen, and he was basically the reason defenses were honest last year in the first place, and couldn't
Yes.
really even like key in on any other people, especially in the running game. But it's a night and day offense, and that's just based on who's under center. So obviously, I mean, let's not bury the lead. Then, like AR, you've known him for a while.
Anthony Richardson. So for people who don't know who AR is,
Absolutely. Now, with the hype surrounding him, leading to potentially a top 5, top 10 NFL draft pick, left the University of Florida to chase his dream, of course, and Derriante, take it away. How do you know AR? This is a very interesting story, very reminiscent of another type of NBA type of situation. We'll go into that in a little bit.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson is actually my cousin. I didn't know that till about maybe about 5 years ago. Maybe we had a family reunion and everything. And at the time, I knew about him because he was at Eastside. He was the quarterback there at a high school here in Gainesville. And they were saying, "Oh, this is your cousin." I was like, "Oh, really?" So I talked to him. Great kid. He's still an awesome kid. Very well mannerable. Thought he was raised the right way. Great high character kid. Very smart. Very intelligent. So we're not super close like that, but we know of each other. I would say that. So, but he, I feel like he has a chance to be really, really, really good if he goes to the right situation, which is that's any player at any position when they get drafted. You pray you go to the right situation and the right scheme that fits your skill set, because that's what's going to help you excel. Because a lot of these coaches, which they're doing, the new coaches in the NFL are a lot better at this now. But back when it was early 2000s, 90s, or whatever, it was, we draft a quarterback and he has to fit my system and do what my system is, instead of building a system around that quarterback skill set, a la Mike Vick in Atlanta. If who was it, Jim Moore? If he actually built a system around Michael Vick's skill set, they would have been a lot better than what they actually were. Because Andy Reid did that when he came back to Philly, and Philly was scary with Michael Vick.
Oh yeah, you talking my language on that one, man. That's Philly's my squad.
Yeah, so it was. Yeah, they look good. They're gonna be back again next year, but.
I mean, it's equivalent to Lamar Jackson, right? They built the offense around Lamar Jackson,
exactly.
And that's why it was so.
They built the offense around, and that I know we're not talking about Lamar
What's
today.
up with that? Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another topic.
That's a whole. But that's the NFL versus Lamar Jackson. That's not the Ravens versus Lamar Jackson. But that's another story for another day. We could save that one. If we got time for it, I'll give my perspective on it. But so. Each player, you want to go to a situation where you're in a scheme and a skill and that fits your skill set. So if he goes, I feel like the best spot for him personally would be the Raiders. The reason being because you have a coach, Josh McDaniels, that knows how to work. We'll figure it out if he knows how to work with quarterbacks. Because the only one that he was good with was Tom Brady. Which Tom probably made him in that respect. But you have a running game, you have a good offensive line. You got a running game with Josh Jacobs. You got some good receivers. You got Devontae, who might be the best in the game. And they don't have Darren Waller anymore. They traded him, but they still have Hunter Renfrow. So he has some pieces that enable a young quarterback to be pretty successful when he comes in. So that's my preferable landing spot for him. But You know, he has a chance to be really good. He's definitely better than Will Levis. So,
Okay.
you know,
The question I got here is, like you say, you're related to Anthony Richardson, and you're in the Gainesville area. He went to school in the Gainesville area. The family, like you said, loves football. Like, if you're in Gainesville, like me and Josh went to University of Florida for 4 years, we know that's a college town, and they love their football. So, like, how do you or the family felt that someone from Gainesville went to like the University of Florida, basically this is like his home school. Like, he actually stayed and went to UF top school. I'm asking that because it's before, like, I'm in South Florida, and it used to be a thing where if you're from Miami, you're playing for the U, and that mystique died. Right, it died like years ago. But like,
yes,
Anthony Richardson was talented in high school. He could have went to any school, but like he chose Florida. So like, how did the family think about like him staying there and like his tenure, like his 3 years there? Like what do you think about that?
For me, I think it was awesome because he lived a dream that I wanted to live, that I didn't do. So to see someone that actually fulfilled that is awesome, man. Because if you're born in if you're coming up in Gainesville and you go to middle school, high school here, and you play for the school here, and you're the starting quarterback for that school, being from Gainesville, that is awesome, man. And for me, it's a blessing. It was a blessing and a curse from the outside looking in with him. Because now my family, we loved it because we're like, oh, it's somebody from our side of town where we grew up on. He's at Florida. He's a upstanding citizen. He's doing good. He's doing well, and he's on his way and all that good stuff. But it from me on the outside looking in, it was a blessing and a curse because I've never seen a quarterback get so much criticism. I didn't even see Jeff Driscoll get this much criticism. I didn't see Tim Tebow get criticism. I didn't see Del Rio or Treon Harris or Will Greer, whoever you want to put. I've never seen a
The
QB
deep
get
cuts.
this much criticism.
Yeah. Oof.
I
went to the QB
honestly,
archives, man. Dang.
Exactly. I've never seen it before, though. It was just mind-boggling to me because I'm sitting here. I'm like, okay, if we all know football, I understand we didn't have the talent around him to fully excel his stats or whatever you want to say. Name me one good receiver we had. Tight end. You can't name one. The Ricky Pearsall was okay. I give him that. Ricky Pearsall in the slot, he had his moments. But
I will say he was a little overrated, especially from like his profile. What we expected him to be, kind of that slot type, Wes Welker shifty type of dude, and there's not one receiver on that squad last year that could really shake and bake.
Exactly,
We didn't have nothing like that.
And then you have the people that question his accuracy based on his percentage or based on him missing a throw, or you have them question his quarterback acumen based on him missing a throw. Because last I checked, it's a lot that goes into completing a pass. It's not just the quarterback throwing the ball. Did the receiver run the route correctly? Because there was a lot of rounded off routes like that I've seen. It was a lot of bad route running. Because I know the guys are young, but it was like Justin Shorter, he's not young. Terrible route running. Terrible.
So, what would you say to like Florida fans? Because like, I know a lot of Florida fans, and they were giving it to AR all year. Like I remember last year. I remember like 2 years ago, where like the whole like Emory Jones was finally gonna start, and AR was flashing. Like he was, in those first two games he was flashing. And I remember in our group chat there was arguments or those debates. It's like, do we go Emory? Do we go AR? And that went on the whole season. But then when this past season, when AR finally got his chance to shine, that group chat went into flames every time. Like you said, so how do you feel about Florida fans? Like, in regards to the criticism that, like, it seems like you think that was undeserving of AR?
I feel it was, like I said, I feel like it was unwarranted. I definitely feel like it was over the top. The reason being because everybody, all the fans, quote unquote, because if you're a Gator fan, you support the players. Now, on the flip side of that, I'm always, which Josh knows this, I'm not biased because that's my family. I always call it down the middle, and I see what I see. I point out when he's not playing well, or I point out certain things that I know he could do better. Okay, cool. But the unreal expectations that they were that they were putting on him, as far as like if he misses a throw, oh he's terrible. I'm like, okay, so the next day on Sunday when I watch the GOAT play Tom Brady, he misses throws, he misses reads every game. Every single quarterback that has played football, every single game they have played, they have missed a read and they have missed a throw. It happens. So you can't sit up here and expect him to make every pass. Yes, you're going to miss some. Now, some of that goes to his inexperience with footwork. He had to get better at that, which later in the year he did. But at the end of the day, you can't sit up here. You can't say, oh, he can't read a defense. Well, okay, because to me, if the guy he threw the ball to was open, that means he read the defense correctly. Now, if he missed the throw, that's a completely different subject. That doesn't mean that he can't read a defense because he missed the throw. And half the time, if he missed the throw, it could have been a bad route, or it could have been because the passing game is about timing. It's about timing. So he's expecting this player to break everything down at this yard mark or whatever, and he broke it short, which caused him to overthrow the ball. Or I've seen this a million times every game last year, where we'll throw a fade or we'll throw a go route. The receiver is supposed to stack the DB, and he's supposed to make sure he leaves room between him and the sideline so the quarterback can drop the ball in to him. And they're running, they're not leaving that room. So if he misses that throw, now you're like, oh, AR can't throw. There was no room for him to leave the ball for the receiver to make a play. So you can't say, oh, it's him. No, the receiver needs to fight better or have better technique to stack that DB to make sure that he leaves that room on that sideline so he can drop the ball in. Because that showed that he was the best quarterback in play action pass. He was third in the country in yards per completion. He was third in the country in yards per completion. So I can't sit up here and say he can't throw the ball, because later on in the year when he started to figure it out with what he had, he was playing a lot better with the talent that he had around him, and our offense was putting up over 30-some points a game. So
they
you see
had
what he looked like when he didn't
explosiveness, yeah. Like,
yeah, you see what he looked like when he didn't play. When he didn't play against Oregon State, what happened?
Nothing.
No comment on that.
Exactly. You could have been crickets.
Oregon State. We're we are Florida. Oregon State punked us in the bowl game to where we had to kick a field goal at the end to make sure we didn't get shut out.
A random bowl game at that.
And Pat McAfee was telling jokes on us, man. Like that was
yeah,
offensive.
Man, it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. And that's what I expected. I wasn't surprised. I knew what was going to happen because I know the talent that was around AR was subpar. So I knew when you remove that type of level of talent from that position, now it's not a running back. This is not a left tackle. This is not a receiver. This is a quarterback. So I knew when you remove that level of talent from that game, mixed with the subpar talent that was already around him, I already knew what was going to happen. I was not surprised. I wasn't even mad. I wasn't mad at all. I already knew what the result was going to be on offense. I knew Jack Miller wasn't that guy. I knew that from the jump. So that's my perspective on it, because it's like you got people watch the game and they say, oh, this person was open. That person probably wasn't even part of the progression of the play. And plus, the defense, and they look open because the defense is reading the quarterback's eyes. They're reading where he's looking. So if somebody on the other side of the play is wide open, that's because the quarterback is looking this way, so the defense reacts that way. So it's a lot that goes into it. It's not just all on the QB. So that's my thinking. That's just how I view it, man. It's a lot that goes into it. No, Nate should have let him run a little more, but I feel like he was being a little cautious because he knew that was the only playmaker we really had outside of ETN and Montreal Johnson.
Hell,
So
it showed.
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, do you think AR held back a little bit, like with the running, like I know like the popular opinion was, well, he's holding back because of his draft stock. Like, you think that was the case, or like, or was it injury, or it could be injury? Like he seemed hobble sometimes.
I don't think he was holding back because football is a sport. You cannot hold back because that's when you get hurt. So that's 100% no. I do feel like maybe it was Nate was in his ear telling him to be more careful instead of letting him just be him. So because when you have your coach, I feel like when you have your coach telling you to be careful and watch yourself, and they're not letting you be you, you're second guessing yourself when you're out there playing football, and that's the wrong way to play, especially playing quarterback. That's not a good way to play. So I feel like you should let him be more of himself, because the times when he let AR be himself, we were explosive on offense. We looked like we had a really good offense when he let him be Anthony Richardson. And the times he did it, times you were trying to hold back, which is, that's when I was like, okay, I don't really like what we're doing. And then we had fans blaming Anthony Richardson for the Vanderbilt loss, and I'm like, did you guys watch that game?
I was gonna bring that up.
400 yards in the air alone. Like, what are
exactly. And what are we talking about? I'm like, okay, that definitely was on the defense, giving up those penalties on third downs, that extended drives, which enabled them to get points. Jason Marshall being dumb, catching a punt over his shoulder inside the 10-yard line when you're told as a punt returner to put your feet on the 10-yard line. If it goes over your head, let it go. Why are you catching a punt over your shoulder inside the 10 that gave them a cheap touchdown? That's Anthony Richardson's fault, though. That's what they say. That's his fault. You can't overcome dumb penalties, especially when you're already challenged as a team. You can't overcome dumb mistakes. You have to mentally be in the game.
Good take on that one. In regards to, I guess we're gonna continue a little bit of the controversy with AR. What do you think about the whole Emory Jones versus AR fiasco? I guess because it was like drama essentially that year. It was something that Dan Mullen just couldn't overcome.
It was a thing. Emory Jones was his guy, and he loved him. He was loyal to Emory Jones. That was the problem.
You think AR should have started as a freshman?
Yes. But tell you why. I feel like this. If you're starting over with a new team, because the year before, remember that was a playoff team we had the year before, but that's another story. And that was Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen screwed that up. Screwed it. Well,
oh yeah.
Todd Grantham really screwed it up.
Monumentally.
But I couldn't really get upset. Yeah, I couldn't really get too mad at Todd looking back on it because it was COVID, because so they didn't have as much practice, and defense needs a little time to gel together and work together. So I feel like that's why our defense struggled that year, because offensively we were, oh my God, that was the best offense in the country. Everybody knew that.
Disgusting, man.
But they were legit. But that year, this is why I say you start him, because when you see. First of all, normally if a upperclassman and an underclassman, if the talent is equal, the coach always goes with the underclassman because he has more upside, because he has more years. So for me, I would have started him and let him make his mistakes that year. Get all the bad reps out, get everything out, get his game experience, and let him sit in the off season. You watch all your game, watch all the plays that you had, and you correct the mistakes you had. Then last year, the mistakes that he did make, they would have been corrected from the year before. So and plus on top of that, you can clearly see the talent difference between Anthony Richardson and Emory Jones. You can clearly see the man will come in for 5 plays and throw 3 touchdowns. Like it
So
wasn't
Derriante, I want to talk
like
about that real quick. Like, especially as a family member, right? I'm sure like everybody has their popcorn ready. Game 1, right? We're up against FAU. He starts busting out play after play after play. He's running like an 80-yard touchdown. Like he's skating on people, clocked at like 22 miles an hour or something like that, leaping over people.
yeah,
Like what was y'all's reaction like just seeing him just utter greatness
not
as a redshirt freshman?
not surprised, man. Not surprised, Josh.
Like it.
Because you see the talent. We see the talent level, man. That man he's a huge kid. He's 6'4", 240, runs a 4.4, super athletic, strong, the arm. You see the talent level. So I was definitely happy and excited for him. That was my first reaction, but I wasn't surprised because I knew the talent level that he possessed. The man, his
And
talent level. Now, his talent level and his potential and the skill set that he has, I'm not saying he's going to be for sure first ballot Hall of Famer, but he reminds me he reminds me of Cam as far as his size and athleticism, but I think he's more athletic than Cam.
oh yeah,
So
those
he
measurables
had
quite
he had
comparable. Man,
yeah,
he's got a special skill set to work with, and I think any team would be happy
exactly
to like just mold
exactly.
to whatever system like they feel is best for him. But like you've been in the
Now that
QB
doesn't
room,
mean
right? Like you
mhm.
let that controversy progress throughout the season. Like what does that do to the rest of the squad? Like do you think that made everything kind of sour?
It does. Not necessarily sour, I wouldn't say that. Um, I just feel like when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. Because that's the one position, that's the only position that you have to be sure about. Now let's think about the NFL. Every year in the NFL, let's just think about the NFC and the AFC championship. The best quarterbacks are always playing. Always. 95% of the time. Who was the AFC championship this year? It was Kansas City, Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes. Let's go to the other side. San Francisco, even just for this year, I'm not saying Brock Purdy is top 5. I'm not saying that. But his numbers just for this year was top 5-ish. And then you have Jalen Hurts on the other side. So the best quarterbacks are always playing. So you have to make sure, as for me, that position has to be solidified because you're going to have people on the team that's thinking this player should be playing, and then you're going to have people on the team that thinking this player should be playing. So your team is not fully going to come together as it should come together. So that's my take on it. So you have to pick a quarterback and live with it. You can't have this, you can't have them come in this drive and then have the next one come in for 2 drives because that messes up the rhythm of your offense and it messes up the rhythm for that quarterback. Because say if even Emory Jones came in and he completed 7 straight passes and then the next drive you take him out and put AR in and then you put Emory back in and you wonder why he's throwing interceptions because I'm yeah. So that's you have to pick one and live with it. I would much rather
Yeah.
you not play Anthony Richardson and just let Emory just play if that was going to be the case, or the vice versa. Just play Anthony and just leave Emory Jones on the bench. So
Jay, you and I were
so
both
when
like
you have 2 quarterbacks, it does mess with it.
true. Jay, you and I were both like super confused about that whole deal, man. And like it got to a point where like we didn't even know like what to think. Like we were like, is he gonna settle on something? Like this LSU game where
Yeah,
he's leading us back is gonna this might be just the tell that just ends it all, right? But
and
it really
and
didn't
you
work
know
out like
what,
that.
and then Dan Mullen decides to start Anthony Richardson against arguably the best defense that ever graced college football. That's the game you want to start him. If you started him earlier and let him get his game reps in, he would have had a better game against Georgia. You don't start him that game. That's not no. You should have just let Emory play.
Yeah.
I mean, Emory would look good. Emory played Bama close, maybe he would have played.
Exactly.
Maybe he played Georgia close. We don't know.
Yeah, he definitely did play. He brought us back against Alabama. We were down 21-3. And he brought us back because he had game experience.
Yeah, and it's funny. You look back on both careers, right? The trajectories that things have gone. And Emory's transferred twice. First Arizona State. Now he's at Cincinnati. I have no idea what that situation is going to be like for him, but I wish him the best. Always have, forever a Gator. You know what I'm saying? But Jay, we saw this thing. We were like, it's gonna be the beginning of the end because he might get, in that type of rotational thing where, and we always say this, we always give it the Blake Barnett syndrome.
Oh God, 5-star. He had all the talent in the world and got beat out by a freshman, right?
Yep. And then he can never find his footing in the next spot and just kind of keeps traveling, becomes kind of like that journeyman in college football. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope he kind of makes it wherever, at Cincinnati, and he finds a career, maybe even it's a new position change, whatever. But Jay, I mean, you got any further follow-ups, man? I mean, we talked a lot about Gator Shop. We talked a lot about NFL and what AR could potentially be. Derriante, you gave us an amazing synopsis of like your recruitment and everything like that. But
I think this episode it's eye-opening for me as someone who loves football, and like as I'm getting more into recruiting and like learning more information about recruiting to get the other side of it. Like I always knew that it was about exposure with the camps and such. So now to hear firsthand from someone who basically like your career kind of was like career defining because you didn't participate in these quote unquote camps, and maybe and these camps they don't showcase the best. It just showcase the people who are just there. So it definitely brings light into that, and I do appreciate you for giving us non-biased takes on Anthony Richardson. Like you said, he's family, and you could have easily been biased and not giving us the true take, and but you gave it to us straight. You praised him when he deserved it, but at the same time you didn't when he. So I do enjoy that. I think overall, like this is like a very different episode that we usually do. We usually go into a topic and we getting everyone's perspective on it, but this is like interview style and it's very different. But I think it's cool because again, like small world, you and Josh know each other, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, Anthony Richardson's my cousin. Like that's crazy. Like that's just like when he told me that, I was like, what? Like it was like, and then he told me about your story a little bit, so I was like, it's good because again, this whole episode is not focused on Anthony Richardson, even though it's probably half the episode, but the other half was about the politics of football, the politics of high school, college football. And it's eye-opening. So like, even for people who like are not like sports fans and such, I want people to really kind of digest what you just told us and see how like the politics that you experience in high school and college is the same thing that happens at work, right? And our jobs right now, the same thing, but now like
absolutely
for it to happen in something as sports, something like people think sports are trivial and such and just hobbies. Like no, this is like people are donors, people are investing, people are like whether you're investing in yourself or investing in whatever, right? Or like it's about like who it's all about connections and networks, and you're gonna go to if I'm a big booster in Florida, I'm gonna make sure you do whatever I can for this kid to come to Florida because he's gonna go to every caps and shine and come to Florida's Friday Night Lights and whatever, like junior day and all that stuff that they usually do. So
Yep.
it's eye opening. I mean, Josh, what do you think? I guess when you think about what we just did within this hour, like kind of digest what this episode kind of really means.
So before we do that, I know I'm gonna extend it a little bit, but I want to get one more opinion from everybody, and I think that layer is NIL, right? That's the biggest wrench right now in college football, and I'll start with you, Jay. Like, how do you think, especially what you just said about like the business element of football that already existed? How do you think this like amplifies or changes the landscape, because now fans are like involved in almost the recruiting process indirectly?
Yeah, it's tricky. I kind of go back and forth like every other week in regards to this.
Because it's just so crazy, right?
Yeah, like on paper, NIL, and for people who don't know what NIL is, right? Name, image, likeness. College players can finally get paid, essentially. So I'm all for it. College players deserve to get paid. Like if you're thinking about a school like Florida, like think how much money just a football program is making off of them. Like imagine when Tebow was the rock star, right? Like he was a he was a celebrity as a 20-year-old because like like the things he was doing, and he didn't get a dime from Florida. Like he, quote unquote, like he wasn't getting it, right? Like from what we know, think about all the jersey sales, the number 15 jerseys. He wasn't getting that, right? Like if let's just imagine Florida made like, I'm being modest, right? Like $1 million off of Tebow. He didn't get that. So now with NIL, players can get their cut on that. That's pretty good. But then the flip side of it is now you're kind of like buying players. So I was kind of okay. Like I'm okay with, if you're gonna sell like my name, image, likeness, like the school should pay me for that. But then if I'm a 16-year-old and you're telling me I'm gonna give you a $5 million contract to play for Florida, that's where things get iffy, because now it's basically saying like it's pay for play. It wasn't like NIL supposed to be like you're gonna get your just dues. So if I'm balling, I'm balling, I'm gonna get what I deserve. But then because I earned it, right? Like I produced on the field and I'm getting what I earned, then you're gonna get a 16, 17-year-old a $5 million contract based on possibly potential. But then you so it's like you're buying these players, and if you have a school like Texas A&M, who a lot of alumni are just crazy loaded, especially with the oil industry, and they just threw money and it was a complete failure. Now it has people thinking twice about it. Like I can't keep doing this, and it's gonna break eventually. Like this is just, it needs monitoring. It's good and it's bad. I think NIL needs to be done when you're in college already. Not I'm gonna give you money. I'm gonna use this as a way to persuade you for recruiting. Like if I'm 17, if I'm gonna choose, I really want to go to Florida, but they want to give me $1 million, and LSU is giving me 10 mil. Well, of course, I no ties to LSU, but if you give me 10 mil, I'm going to go to LSU. And I probably hate the coach, but 10 mil's 10 mil. So it's iffy, right? Like,
it's true.
And Derriante, what you thinking about that, man? Especially as like a former recruit, like NIL, like in the past, like what would that have been?
Yeah, oh man, that would have been crazy. I agree with Jay, man. It's I feel like it does need some monitoring, and I feel like it should be based on classification. So if I'm a freshman, I should be allowed to. It should be capped, because these kids are young, and some of these kids are making decisions to go to colleges that's probably not even culturally or it's not suitable for them. So because if I'm from Gainesville, Florida, like I am, I want to go to a Florida school. But like you said, if Texas A&M comes calling and saying, "Hey, want to give me $10 million," I'm probably going to commit there. And I don't even know anything about College Station. So I feel like it shouldn't, in recruiting, it shouldn't be a thing. Now, once they commit, then you can set all that stuff up with the kids, and hey, we got this NIL deal for you. We got this NIL deal for you once they commit. But using it as recruiting. It's just like you're just buying players. I feel like you're extorting these young guys, man. Some of these guys are 15, 16, 17 years old, and then some of these guys come from, they come from probably not the most wealthiest background. And you're like, oh, and then some of these guys know, like, I'm gonna throw this money out and they're gonna commit. No, I feel like that's not a good thing to do, because we just looked at the Cormani McClain situation. He's solely committed to
Oh,
Miami because
You beat me
he
to it.
was all Florida. Like, he was all Florida. And then he committed to
All
Miami just
signed.
solely based on a big deal. And then now he's at Colorado with Prime.
yeah, that was tough.
So yeah,
Hey.
so I feel like it does need some monitoring. I feel like it should be rules to where they can't do anything NIL until they commit to your school. But even still, you can still kind of use that in recruiting if they were to do that and say, hey, if you come here, we got this NIL deal waiting for you. You can't sign it yet, but if you come here, then this is waiting for. So it's like they got to find some type of way to do something about it. I love it because those guys should have been getting paid, because like you said with Tim Tebow, man, all the money that he made at the University of Florida, and he didn't get, quote unquote, he didn't get anything. That's not right, man. That's basically that's kind of like slavery. I'm doing all this work to get nothing, because nobody was coming to see Urban Meyer. They were coming to see Tim Tebow and Percy Harvin.
And then to piggyback on what you're saying, to think about how many stories have you heard of college players? Yes, you're getting a scholarship, right? So what are you getting? Like Florida, when we went, right? Florida was like maybe, what was it, $15,000 a year, right?
Somewhere like that. Yeah, 12, 15. Yeah.
Right, for like your yearly tuition, room and board, right? That's like less than minimum wage, right? At the time. Oh, that was minimum wage at the time. How many stories have you heard of people, of like scholarship players, like, yo, like I have nothing to eat, like I'm hungry, or like I don't have any money to like do anything if I want to buy myself something? No. They're poor, right? Essentially,
my father-in-law, that was kind of part of his story when he committed to go play college football back in his days, and that was the late 80s, early 90s, somewhere up in that time frame. And he would tell stories about how the meal plan doesn't cover the weekend. That's just through the week. He didn't know that
Sheesh.
until he got there. So yeah, it's some stuff, man. Like you gotta read the scholarship, read everything, and know what you're getting into. And because it's like, you're telling me I can't go make money because I'm a college athlete, but the science student can go have a job. But because I play football, I can't work.
yeah, actually, you bring up a good point. I remember this story.
That doesn't make sense. Come on, man. That doesn't make sense. I could be in school to be a teacher. I can go get a job and make money. But me, because I play football or because I play basketball or whatever, I can't get a job. I can't get a job.
Yeah, I remember this story. Maybe it was like 5-10, like around 5 years ago. This guy, I want to say he was a football player, or he played for UCF. I don't remember what sport, but he was making side money.
Yeah, the punter.
Yeah,
I don't remember
the kicker.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was him, but he was making side money from streaming, right? Like from Twitch or YouTube. Yep. And YouTube. And they kicked him out.
He's still doing it.
But they kicked him out because of that. It's like, no, because like you violated. Yeah. I was like, yo, like I'm making side money. It had nothing to do with football or anything. He's just whatever YouTube channel he was doing.
And he's one of the biggest YouTube streamers still. His name is Destroying. He goes around and he holds one-on-one tournaments with in different areas. With like different one-on-ones with football and all that good stuff. And the winner gets like 10,000 or whatever. He does that. He goes everywhere, and I mean he went to Hawaii and did one. So he goes everywhere giving back to the community. So he's still around. He's still doing that. He has a few million YouTube subscribers.
Hey, I mean, I love at the end of the day that the athletes are at least, in a position where they can get their just due. Now, it's got to get, adjusted to where they're not taken advantage of, to everyone's point. But it is good to at least see that value, being
Yeah, exactly.
coming back to the athletes, right? But
Yeah, because look at Arch Manning. That's
shit,
clear
yeah,
politics. I don't think he's that
absolutely.
good.
I'd agree. I'd agree.
It's- I think he's average. But because you could go look at his high school stats, number one, you could look at the fact that he was ducking going to camps. And why? Because me, if I'm the number one overall recruit, I got to go show why I'm the number one overall recruit. That's just me. But
That's what
he
you would
was
think,
ducking
right?
camp. He
Heavyweight
didn't
champ.
go. It's yeah, you're right. I got to go. I got to go show everybody why I'm the top dog, and I'm going to leave no question about why I'm the top dog. So
Yep.
he was ducking camps. He was just living off that last name Manning. And I mean, I just don't think he's that good. That's just me. So that goes back to the politics part we was talking about earlier. That's just his last name, man. Because the guy that just committed to Tennessee, what's his name? He has that long. You guys know who I'm talking about. The
Oh
Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
Nico,
top
yeah.
he
whatever.
just
Nico.
got. Yeah,
Nico.
Nico. Yeah, him. He is light years better than Arch Manning. Like way better than Arch Manning. DJ Lagway better than Arch Manning. He's not. I hope he proves me wrong. Like I said, yeah, if I'm proven wrong, then cool. But he's no. That go. This, but that goes back. I was basically making a point with the politics and the NIL and everything. So he
Right.
used his name to get that NIL and everything. So it's hey, that's just how it goes now, man. But they got to regulate it. They got to
I feel you,
regulate it.
man. I feel you, and it's gonna come. It's just gonna take some time, man. But y'all, we've had an episode and a half, literally. It's been fun rapping with everybody, man. It's been fun, like
Definitely.
shooting breeze with y'all, talking ball, getting to know you, Derriante, your story, getting a little peel behind the onion once again with AR's situation, kind of getting a true blue take from Gators, man. It's been a great time, great conversation.
Yes,
Derriante,
it
man,
was.
tell us where people can follow you, what you got going on. If you got anything you want to plug, definitely, we want to uplift it.
Now you guys can you can follow me on Instagram at Audemars_dreams. That's my Instagram name, and I'm actually looking to start my podcast pretty soon.
Hey, welcome to
Can
the
you guys hear
club,
me?
man. Yes, sir. We got
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I thought my phone went out for a second, but I'm looking to start my podcast pretty soon called The Mail Room. And I'm looking to start about June 15th, start my first episode. But it'll be more on that. We'll talk about sports and men life stuff, and it'll be a mixture of things of that nature. So I'm excited about that. I was supposed to start over a year ago, but things happen, fatherhood, working and all that good stuff. But
Hey, we know.
but
We know.
I have that going. Yeah, man. And so I'm in a place now where I'm a little bit more settled, so I'm looking to start soon. But you can follow me on Instagram at Audemars_dreams. That's a kind of a peek into my family, and I just post me and my family pretty much all the time. So, that's what we do. That's what I do.
Appreciate that, and we'll definitely put your IG information on our information on the description on the podcast and such, and we'll definitely put on our own IG. We'll definitely shout you out. Can't
No
wait for
doubt.
your podcast. Definitely want to be a special
Oh yeah,
guest
you
on
guys
that
gonna be
one.
coming on. You guys definitely gonna be coming on. That's a no brainer. That's easy.
Yeah, I definitely want to do that, especially now I have entered fatherhood. I feel like I can relate to you guys, so I definitely want to
Exactly.
talk about that.
Hey, I'm just here for the
Yeah.
lessons and mentorship, man. But we can talk shop we can talk shop any day, any time, any place, man. But we gotta give the audience the chance to rest their ears a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank everybody, in advance for listening to this episode of the Genuine Content Podcast. Once again, this is Jay and Josh. With our guest Derriante, thank you again for joining, man. You're part of the family now. We appreciate that. Please like, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do on any platform. Man, this has been a fun one. But this is Genuine Content, Genuine Vibes. Jay, take us out, man.
offices.